dum, da 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 dum, da 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 dum. I'm gonna stick up my GFX hat. Actually, these lights actually kind of murder my eyeballs, so it's like, why would you be wearing a hat indoors? Actually, it helps me from these lights pouring in on my face. Been having a lot of fun with the GFX. I've always been wanting to go medium format digital. I finally have gone medium format digital, but I was waiting for the right camera. The Mamiya Leaf, overpriced and sucky, don't like it. Pentax Z, don't like it. Don't like its build quality. Don't like its poor, unreliable autofocus. The GFX finally is it. Let's talk about two forms of subject isolation, because people are talking about, well, you know, until Fuji drops that 110mm f2, which the fastest portrait lens currently is an well, you can't call this a portrait lens really, at f2.8. The 32-64 is an f4. The 120mm is a portrait/macro lens at f4. However, you don't realize that those are medium format lenses, so at f4 those lenses are not f4 as far as the depth of field rendering. They are extremely close to an f2. So the f-stop on those is not exactly equivalent to what you're used to on full frame or crop sensor cameras. Let's talk about two forms of subject isolation. Okay, let me take this hat off since you can't see my eyeballs. GFX. GFX stands for gigantic effing camera. No, stands for G series. Yeah, full. Yeah, I know that. That's what it should stand for giant freaking X series camera. That's my interpretation. Subject isolation. Everybody thinking, well, I'm going to go to so-and-so place downtown, and I'm going to blur out my background. It's going to have a certain color quality and bokeh. I'm going to shoot at f1.8, f1.4. Well, that's all well and nice. That is a certain type of subject isolation. The other type is, and this is why flash photography and strobes are so incredibly important. Another form of subject isolation is you can drop your ambient to whatever level that you want. Okay, it is still defined, obviously so, unless you drop it into the dirt. Raise your subject illumination. And nobody talks about this, two types of subject isolation. Well, the third would actually be doing, dropping out the background and blurring it in Photoshop and post-processing. But everybody knows about losing your background by opening up, shooting with an f1.4, f1.8, f2, f1.4. The other type is subject isolation through illumination, and what you do is you drop your ambient illumination to whatever level you want, even to the point of losing it. However, that doesn't really make for a great shot. I mean, why even shoot outdoors downtown anyway, for example? Say you're doing a portrait shot of a lovely person downtown. You still want to be able to see something. So those two things combined not only give you the characteristics of the bokeh off the lens that you use or intend to use, but also the intensity of it through subject isolation. Simply being able to control your background illumination, your background blur or bokeh by the use of specific optics on your camera, say at f1.4, so I'm going to shoot at 85-1.4, blur out the background on Suzy Q that I'm taking a picture of. That is insufficient. When you can actually drop it and blur it and raise your subject illumination, then you have complete control over not only your ambient but also your subject saturation and isolation that mere background, blur, or bokeh by isolating your subject alone will not give you. So you need to start thinking in terms of second tier or two-tier, subject isolation. One, through control of your bokeh at the type of optics that you shoot, by means of which the optics type of optics that you choose to shoot, and secondly through subject isolation by being able to control your ambient illumination that you do not have without lighting. So it was a bright sunny day outside. I'm going to go take Suzy downtown and take a shot of her at f1.8. I'm going to blur out the background. You know, it's going to have a certain bokeh and a color characteristic that is going to complement her blue dress. That's all well and fine. How about actually giving true contrast and separation and isolation to your subject? Here's a quiz question that most photographers will have to think about. Which gives you better subject isolation? Think about this. Shooting Suzy Q outdoors at f1.8, blurring out a background, just the camera and lens only. Okay, well that's the type of subject isolation. You know, I can't really see anything in the background, not much. Or exposing from my ambient and raising my subject illumination through flash or strobe power and thereby saturating the Susie, the subject, and giving her true pop from the background. Which one gives you better isolation? The bokeh off that f1.8 or f1.4, or exposing for the ambient and raising your subject to the illumination as desired for correct exposure in your camera? The answer is B. Lighting will give you greater isolation than the fastest f1.2, f1.4, f1.8 will ever do. Those two combined, however, give you the latitude to do anything that you want better than anybody else can shoot. And photographers don't think like that. There are plenty of people that go out for years and years taking pictures of people like, well, I might drop a reflector on someone's face and shoot at f1. That's as close as they get, you know, to use of using a strobe or a speed light for subject isolation. Subject isolation is using both of those things correctly and in conjunction with each other. And you need to take that to heart and understand it, because it's incredibly important. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you later. It has been a long and tiring day, half of which was spent writing and studying and working on my book, and I will catch you later. Bye.